This is a test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hello. Today's date is Thursday. Well, okay. This is another test. What up, y'all? Today is Thursday, January 25th, 2024. The time is 11:34 Pacific Standard Time. I am reporting live from Los Angeles, and this is the You Are Live podcast. It brings me so much joy to be here doing this right now, because it is the most authentic that I can provide. Woosah. I'm gonna keep it so real with y'all. I'm gonna keep it so real. And it is through that the healing will take place for myself, but also for anyone who can relate and is impacted through this process that I'm about to put myself through. It's not the first time, but the fact that I know that it's not the first time, and life has shown me cycles, and that I can do all things. God is amazing. I do have a perspective. I just have, and so it's going to be. There's a lot to say, there's a lot to unpack, but what I can say is things that came to mind when preparing for this episode, and in general for where am I going to post this, where is this content going. I have several pages, and all of that is so much work to try to distribute to the Instagram, the YouTube, the Twitter, or now X, SoundCloud, all of that. I'm like, give me a moment. I need a moment. Also, between the two YouTube channels that I do have, I have the one that I started actually in college, and it has all of my initial posts, and I think it's so cool because it shows me at the beginning of my journey, just as I was at that time, pursuing what I was pursuing before going out into the real world, and you can just see just the natural raw talent and passion and desire. And then you see post of my journey, and it sort of became more so of a YouTube where I posted portfolio work. At that time, I was graduating from college with a broadcast journalism degree, going out into the world with a true desire to be on 106 in Park. I wanted to be a TV and radio host. At that time, I had done 3 out of my 4 years on the radio at school on WANM 90.5 FM, Old School Wednesdays. And I truly found myself as a DJ and radio personality there at that time. But I also can look back on that work and I see through so much to know that this is the same person that was, and where I am now, and how I can take my time right here and not rush and just speak to you as is. Now, right now, I'm speaking to you with my iPhone right in front of me. So I am living in the future right now, technically, according to that stuff. Technology has evolved. You can't see my hands. I want you to see my count. Technology has evolved. I have evolved. And the idea of just a lot is, it's a lot to hash out and unravel. I have a journal. It is time. I'm gonna unleash. I'm gonna unpack. I am not happy that, you know what? It was just like a little tilted and that was bothering me. It was bothering me. And I really just can't tell if it's still planted or not. But you know what? I'm not mad at that lighting either. You know, life and variation. I'm not mad at that. That's a little softer. Which lighting y'all like better? I'm not mad at the softer. I'm not mad at it. A little bit of glow going on. A little bit. But this is relevant. Because I remember at that time, cameras were definitely larger. Equipment was much larger, and the fact that, again, we can do what we can from like a small little tripod and iPhone or whatever it is, just says a lot about the times. The time, it is, again, I said it's 2024 now. Look, it was 2010 then. So that's 14 years since I graduated college. So college, let's talk about, I'm just gonna put some bullet points down because I'm gonna, eventually, by the end, we're gonna circle all the way back around and tie everything together. But the first bullet point that I wanna write down is college. And that was the years of 2006 through 2010. And if I ... I'm currently living in Los Angeles. And the year is, I've been here since 2018. And the year is 2024. So if we could just look at that timeline and that evolution, I would like to put side by side how I started going into the real world, because then we can talk like Matrix talk into like, you know, the real world. And we can talk about evolution. And then we can really talk about, what did I say? I said Matrix. I'm just writing down bullet points. Matrix, bullet point, evolution. I would also just sort of like to talk about the era and the times, the evolution of times. How about some milestones? Because ultimately, after I do this for myself, this is something that you can do for yourself or to help maybe someone else. Now, in college, I set out to do radio, broadcasting, Red carpet corresponding. And I had the blessed opportunity to really get a good foot in the door at that time. They called it capstone. But it's sort of like a thesis project, your graduation thesis project, or like a dissertation per se for a PhD student going out for their doctorates, or a doctorate student going out for their PhD, however you want to put it. My college documentary that I produced senior year was called Quicksand, The Pursuit of Stardom. So Quicksand, The Pursuit of Stardom. Whoosh, woosah, okay. In that documentary, I followed young entertainers on the come up, out hustling, pursuing their dreams in the world of entertainment. So there was a musician, an actor who I followed, like to their audition, or, you know, a musician in the studio talking about their experience, an actor with their audition process and just what they go through with rejection. There was a stylist and just what their hustle was like, you know, as a stylist in New York on the come up. And also who blessed the project at the time was actress Megan Good, who was sharing from her perspective. And at that time, she was sort of in a transition with her career as well. Came back with a shortcut and was, you know, in a transition period and rebranding for herself. And she gave insider's perspective of what the day-to-day was like, you know, in her life. And overall, it was a project that sort of gave me insight, you know, on an interest level to even produce it, of what am I getting into? Because right now I'm in college, you know, at that time, and I'm about to be out there hustling with y'all. And that shared experience or interest in connection with the audience of whoever would be watching the documentary, I wanted to enlighten. My objective was to enlighten anyone watching about the day-to-day. Now, for me to even do that project, I had already had some experiences, which made me want to do it in the first place. And those experiences stemmed from winter breaks, summer breaks, any opportunity that I could get to go to New York. Even though I was going to school for broadcast journalism, what I really wanted to do was, just for the record, model. I wanted to do modeling. I wanted to be a model. Also in the documentary, I said we had a musician, we had an actor, we had a stylist, but we also had an agent that blessed us with the interview, and a professional model through the agency. And they spoke and shared from that perspective. Now, I would always wonder, why is my modeling career not popping off? But at the time, I was going to school in Florida to start, and I was not in Miami where industry was. So when I would go to industry, now that I'm in it, I know that I was first off going and trying to do business at all the wrong times. Me coming during winter break while everybody's breaking down for the year was not really a good time to be trying to join an agency. And if they were to sign you and you're a college student in Florida, when are you going to be coming up to do work? Factor number one. Factor number two, when you finally do get into New York, you're competing with all the people who already live there that are already dealing with day-to-day rejection. So if you're going to be there, you better be like the best and, you know, something worth, you know, all the additional work and travel and stuff, because it's just something to factor in. But during those breaks, when I would shoot, there the story begins. The story begins. What is that? It's on my screen. As a model, the very first thing you're going to deal with is photographers. And I have that story that I can pick back up on. But I wanted to start this video right here because this is real life and time is of essence. It is going to be a saga with sequels. And the good thing is about today, in 2024, you hear that, we're going to eliminate that sound. First by closing them windows. I mean, they going for it. But, we're going to transition here because in a perfect world, I would sit here all day and talk. But, ooh, this is good. This is good. This is good. I'm going to write down the word quickies. Okay, quickies. Quickies is a term that I laugh at right now just because the times and so much has happened. I think naturally when you think of quickie, it has like a sexual context. And it may not have for you, but you know, to me, it has a ring of like a quickie. Real quick, right? Quick, okay? But to me, the meaning for this cause is actually sort of compromised. Sure, I'd like to be here all day doing what I love, doing this podcast, but I actually have to make time and sort of squeeze in my passion project of being a broadcaster, a podcaster now, and they call it in 2024, hosting my show and doing what I love. But truth also is that time is money, bills got to be paid, and I need to be working, and stuff costs. But to add to that, work, time, worth, value, the information that I'm about to share. This world now, we say content. Let me write down content. That's important, content. Content. As a child, when I would hear the word content, I would say content of his character, and it would be from the Martin Luther King speech. It would not be judged by the color of his skin, but by the content of his character. I remember I knew that's like that part of that speech in second grade. I loved that little part. I used to say it and rehearse it. But content now, and content is not free. And we also live in an era now where content, everyone knows their worth, value, and for example, times have changed so much that whereas you could just go and sort of have a conversation with someone in the past, now everyone's all wrapped up in that's my content. And at the time back in the day, oh my gosh, look at my hands. I have pin marks all over my hands. Do I want to share? Sorta, because let's get messy. Let's get messy and artsy with this whole thing. One band, one sound, one team, one dream. I am one person, but I have so many dimensions and elements. And so do you. So do you. Again, this is a test. This is a test. This is a test. And this is also rehearsal. Because for myself, if this is the URLivePodcast, I'm going to go live today. I'm going to go live, but I have some quickies that I have to do. One of those is I need to make, this is a blessing actually. I have some self-tape auditions that I need to do. Self-tape auditions. To God the glory. I have to submit some self-tape. So I already have like my setup and stuff ready for that. I also have to clean up the studio. I need to work out in gym. And I can't wait to have the conversation to talk to you about the gym part. So I got to get in my workout. I need to clean up. I need to do my audition. I also have to look for work. But when we go live later, I want to talk about this idea of work. And then with work, time and value. And then transitioning into this era of content and being compensated for your time and information and research and essence. And we'll get into all of that. But I also, right now I'm recording from my iPhone. It's been going for 22 minutes. It's taking up space. Like I said, I don't even want to be recording. I just want to go live. You are live. The Underground Remix Live, your #1 radio source for live rhythm and news, classics and current events, music and information, jams and thoughts, which sometimes require a little participation and improvisation during our live jam sessions broadcasted from right here at the station. I'm your master of ceremonies, Sherrod, and you can follow me at Sherrod Inc. on Instagram. Okay, now SherrodInc.com, I have the domain, we ready. It's just not up yet, but that is not, it's relevant and we're going to talk about it. It's not up yet for several reasons. I have been actually saving up, investing in, and preparing for this moment right here where I could just have this moment and it begin the journey. But time and hopefully God, can we just write God somewhere on this paper right here? Let me put God, Lord God, God, and I circled it. Whoo, Heavenly Father, can I just say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for life, love, passion, pursuit of happiness. Thank you for my safety. Thank you for your protection of me over the years and all of this time. Thank you. You have looked out for me. You've looked out for my family. You've revealed so much to me about myself, and you've allowed me time and space to grow. You have blessed me with so many talents. You've blessed me with a journey. You've blessed me to be blessed and to bless others. And you've also selected me to be one of your, now that word, That word, that word. We could say to be determined. What would I call it? Maybe we can talk about that on the live later. If the time on this video is 25 minutes, I want this to be like the last time I record, like 25 minutes right here on this phone. I want to just go live. To God the glory. On my YouTube, I can go live, and that's on my old, when I say the college YouTube, that has all of my really broadcast, radio, and music related journey and evolution and on it. But then there's Sherrod Natural, which has the beginning of another journey, and that would be hair, and we can talk about that later. But it's relevant right now for several reasons. One, because I need to do these self-tape auditions, and hair. Right now, I'm gonna scoot up so y'all can see. The beard, it's a little scruffy, could definitely be cleaned up. So some maintenance, could be done. Is this on? Is it powered up? Well, it needs to be. So let me write that down on my agenda. Grooming. So I said self-tape audition. Before I could even do the self-tape, I need to do grooming. And with that, I could tell the story of when I came the first time, the image that I had in 2010, and the evolution into this being that you see here today. And that journey started really a year after I moved to and left Los Angeles. I only stayed for that year. I graduated in 2010. I left in 2011, and I went back to East Coast and really just tucked myself behind the scenes. I said behind the scenes, so the production world. I was a production assistant for the Made in New York production assistant program under Mayor Bloomberg at the time. And I needed a break from, at that time, everything. I needed a break from social media, attention. I needed a break from what was happening. And what was happening is, at that time, it really was social media. Nowadays, everyone's a content creator. There are all of these things and titles, and they have monetized social media. So I would say what we have now is e-commerce media, or just like commercial media, commercial communications, whatever it is. It's definitely not just social. It's not free. It's monetized and it's money. But to have been pushing out content and producing really documentaries daily, now everyone knows what that means. Like, if you're a content creator, you basically are an independent production team for yourself. And you may have a small team, so it may not be for yourself, but the work doesn't stop. And you know firsthand now, regardless of what you went to school for, the work that it takes on the digital media end, between the editing, the shooting, all of that is a full-time job. And it takes a lot of time, a lot of rendering, and technology was even slower back then. So there was an exhaustion that happened both from the work and the labor, free labor of producing content at that time, but then also the impact of the social end and factor of it all. You're basically local celebrities with a lot of attention, but you're not rich and you have fans that were called friends at the time before they made it followers, and put it a little more in perspective of who and what this exchange is. So we can actually stop there. I need to do a quickie. I need to get my beard together. And you're really not supposed to wear like hats and stuff in auditions, but we're going to talk about that. There's so much we have to talk about and so much to unpack. But this is the URLivePodcast. And I wanted to do this before any transformations, because that's always been my dream, to come just completely real and authentic and just untampered with. Can I just be me for a moment before I have to change shit? God damn it. Oh, I'm so exhausted with that. But that's my time. I actually went a minute over. This is gonna be 31 minutes.